Everybody on Instagram. Here it is. It's Wednesday. I've got a bit of a strange one for you this evening. I don't know if this is a situation that we've ever encountered.
Oh, sorry.
Now, me and Philippa have done stuff together in just us in years gone by in all sorts of formats, including when we a precursor to Had called Brutal History. But we've not done without Cat. I bet we're wonderfully well behaved now with no Cat, and then we'll know it's her. And I can blame her in the future. So I have just waited now. I think Philippa's invitation has come up. Oh, no, it hasn't. Let me see if I thought that might be it now. There it is. I have another one.
Right, just give me a sec.
Welcome on both platforms. Here we are for a Wednesday evening. So you've got to be really kind to us this evening and bring out our lovely, fluffy, angelic sides. Because you all know Philippa's got one. The rest of you don't believe that me and Kat have. There she is.
Now, for some reason, I can still hear you, which means my computer is having a... Oh, is that what?
I don't know.
That's better. That's better.
Yay!
It was not
Here we
playing.
are.
It was not playing.
Not having
Sorry.
any of it. No. Not having any of it.
Right, it's playing. It's fine. It's all sorted now. Maybe it's the second full moon, the blue moon.
That one.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going on here. Do you know what's just occurred to me? I was going to do the disclaimer.
I have thought about this. See, we just relax when the disclaimer's coming on. It's like we don't. we get another few minutes to just
dead casual. Get ourselves together. Throw in the bits of the disclaimer you can remember. So basically, what are the rules of Had?
The rules of Had are it's not a drinking game unless you want it to be. I actually don't mind it being a drinking game if you want it to be.
Yeah, I mean you can.
Don't blame us.
On your own head. Be it is the summary really.
Watch it live because we may well. I maybe tonight will be fine. We'll see, but. It may well be one of those ones that we decide not to post. Put an earphone in just in case. Well, everyone else does. Right. Yes. Wear an earpiece.
Yes.
So that no one else can hear. You may have a judgmental boss. You may have
in an open plan office.
You may have a child who will absorb everything and then take it into school.
Timmy.
Timmy is a problem.
So make sure there are no little ears in the vicinity. Again, earpieces or watch it back. But as Philippa said, I think it's less likely to be the week this week where something horrendous happens and we have to yeet this into the sun. But you never know. Anything could happen. As the room has been entitled this evening, this could go horribly wrong.
It could. So well, and that's partly because we're hoping you all get involved. So I posted earlier for ideas of what we could talk about on our Instagram story. So we'll get to that in a minute. But yes, because if your little Timmy goes into school and mentions what he has heard on a Wednesday night at school, you may well be found taken up to the school or summoned up to the school. She may well have Googled what little Timmy says. And I like this one. If you don't know what it means, it doesn't matter. It's not for you. Don't Google it. Otherwise, you're going to get adverts for really odd things for the rest of your life. In fact, to be fair, you might get them just from it hearing what we're talking about anyway.
Your phone is listening, to be fair.
That happens. Yeah. So,
okay.
Anyway, what else was there? Did we do anything else?
Something about kink shaming.
Oh, yeah.
So that always says we don't kink shame. I might.
Actually, we're not. Well, we like shaming people, but if we figure that it might be something that you are doing for kicks, then we won't get involved. So
I cannot believe that we couldn't even do that between us. What is it next?
We could have done. Like I say, we just have we covered all bases?
I think so. It's because you say we don't do it. We just go, Cat, off you go. So it's a slightly random start, for which we can only apologise. Anyway, behave yourselves. Don't get drunk. Don't Google it. If anybody's sensitive in any capacity is listening, stop them listening in whichever way necessary. Yeah. Chloroform, headpieces.
And it is History After Dark because it is dark. It is actually going dark. But this actually started, what was our original name for this?
Brutal History.
And the idea being that we just didn't have to have the same shackles on that we have when we're doing our usual live streams, videos, whatever. So if you're used to seeing us on our normal channels, then brace yourselves.
Brace yourself.
Oh my goodness, Paige, my grandma was listening to WAP this weekend. They probably have heard worse, Paige. They probably have heard. Thing is, it's a curious thing, isn't it? That we think old people are innocent and yet they've lived longer.
Yeah. They were young once and they've been young and old.
Indeed. Indeed. Are we just going to pretend we've never heard of? I've never sworn. Well, actually, Grandma, we found you on YouTube in 2023.
No, it wasn't me. But there'll be genetic engineering and stuff by then. We can just say it's somebody else who looks like us.
It's AI. It's AI. Yeah, it's not us at all. It's not us at all.
Yeah. So, I'm not loving life with this ring light, I have to say.
Is it too bright in your eyes?
Oh no, it's just making me look worse.
It's highlighting my flaws.
Sit in the dark or something. What happens if I do that? Oh, is that better or worse?
Well, you're in the dark, but you're fine. What was in the middle then?
Off.
Off's fine. You can turn it off if you. I don't think it makes much difference. Yeah.
Sometimes if there's less light, can't see as much.
Isn't that a dating tip? Isn't it? It's to go. Did you know that?
If you're a minger, sit in the dark.
No. The opposite. If you're a minger, sit in the light, and then your imperfections in your skin are sort of not as visible as they will be if you're sitting in shadow.
I don't think that was working for me just then.
No.
Just have to sit like that.
We both had birthdays, so we're just not going to talk about age.
Let's just sit like that.
We have had suggestions as to things to talk about, but tonight, because we haven't got Kat, where is she? I can't remember where she is.
She's near a beach somewhere.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Well, we are we are suspending the Deceased Git series for this week. Back next week.
Roundup week next week. Yeah, roundup week.
Oh, is it? That's good. Okay. And then I'm away on tour the week after. Oh, that works out very well then, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So when we'll be back, we'll be doing our last UVW, our last sort of Deceased Git.
So there'll only be 6 more after that. So we're going to do 2 lots of 3 roundups, aren't we? Rather than 1 or 2. But
I need to update my spreadsheet. It's not on there.
Spreadsheets. If it's not on a spreadsheet, there'll be a nervous collapse.
Yeah. Well, they asked me questions about have you looked on the spreadsheet? No,
we don't.
No, you don't. Even though I send you the link every week.
We do it now just to like keep you happy. You'd be sad if we weren't useless.
Yeah, I've lost my use. They're self-sufficient.
Oh dear. Pretty pick. Kat is pulling a heist at the British Museum. To be fair, it wouldn't surprise me. You try and get she's there
freeing the artifacts
out. She's there trying to like liberate some stuff. Yeah. My journalist, your birthday was on Monday, was it? Belated birthday wishes.
It was. Thank you very much, Rue. Yeah, it was.
21, etc., etc.
21 plus a few.
No, just 21.
Yeah, that's fine. So, shall we talk some history? So, you feel free to stick feel free to stick some history related, not marriage related questions in the chat. And
yes,
and but we will start with some of these. Let's see. Some of these. See, the thing is, you can ask a question. Whether we answer it or not is a completely different matter. Because some of these we don't know the answer to be brutally honest.
Yeah, we would have to go and research them. So
yeah, but thank you very much for the suggestions. Yeah, see, Emma loves the Ask Me Anything and the What If episode. So you can, like I say, ask anything within reason. Jennifer, I've been enrolling students with 2007 in their date of birth. Have you seen that sketch where somebody's like about our age and they're interviewing somebody and he goes, I'm born in 2005 or something, and he's like, fuck off. you're 5 if you were born in then, and he's like, no, if you do the math.
Basically a fetus. How very dare you. Well, it's like the town I live in is a university town, and I mean it's really all about the university. And every year they come back, I think, oh, they look really young. And I'm like, well, that's because they are and you're not. That's what that is. So at this stage, there is a reason why they look very young. They are. But some of them look like they shouldn't. They're doing their GCSEs, not coming to university. There we go. I'm just jealous.
Yeah, we're all just jealous.
We're
all just jealous. So, right, what have we got? So, should we start off with a fairly easy one? And actually, you lot can join in with this one.
No pressure. Sea
to Sky Dreams asked, would we talk about movies that shows the most accurate versus that's a good start. Accurate.
And again.
That are the most accurate versus those that are the least accurate. I don't know. I don't know how many. No movie springs to mind where I'd go, oh, that's a really accurate representation of something.
I think part of the problem as well is that, like, there are so many eras that we couldn't necessarily comment in detail about. Like, so the Borgias. I've heard very mixed things about the accuracy of that. I think we're talking perhaps Tudors level, but we couldn't comment on that in the same way as we could on anything sort of more Tudory, Wars of the Roses-y based. I think one of the things that's hard is that it's like historical. It's historical novels, isn't it? It's basically a historical novel on film, and there's only so much we know. So first of all, you've got the individual interpretations of all the different people involved in this, because it's not just necessarily about the people who've written the script. It's the actors' perspectives, and like, I'm coming into my role, and the directors, and the this and the that, and everything else, and all sort of the clashes of things that are going to go on. And there's the way people choose to fill the gaps. I think a lot of people really rate Wolf Hall, Hilary Mantel's Wolf Hall. I know, like, in terms of the novels. So I know that there are some people who don't like the way that Anne Boleyn is portrayed, the way that Jane Boleyn is portrayed, and maybe a couple, or even they think it's too soft on Cromwell. Or I'm trying to think. I mean, I love those novels. I'm trying to think back to the series now. And I think that is one that's normally quite well hailed, isn't it? As sort of like quite accurate and everything like that, because I think it creates. It's not all brightly lit, and we talk about how that we think it was dark and dreary in terms of like decoration and all things like that. Things weren't always drab with no color, but you were working with candlelight, and they very much had that. It's dark, we're going to put the candles on, rather than we're in this beautifully lit, it's not really electricity kinds of palace effects going on. So I think people felt that created, it was atmospheric, which added to the sense of realism people felt that they were experiencing with what went on in that. And sometimes I think it's lovely to have, I mean, don't get me wrong, it had elaborate sets and costumes and things, but things like the Tudors, it's so grandiose, and it's all about the long flowing hair and the this and that. And I know you love the long flowing hair, Philippa. The hair of 20 horsetails.
Yeah, you're like, no one has that much hair.
It's the hair like a horse's ass. But
yeah, I'm sitting there in my little ponytail.
I know mine's like, but yeah, I think that just creates that sort of sense of that's what it was really like. Especially in the winter, it was cold and it was dark and it was horrible.
Well, you know my thoughts on what was the? Is it just called? What was the film? Was it just called Mary Queen of Scots? What was it called? The one where they meet with. There's a scene of them Elizabeth I and Mary Queen of Scots meeting in some laundry, whatever film that is.
John Guy's book.
Based on John Guy's book, and you'd have heard me say this before probably, but the Scottish castles are all inside a cave. The Scots live in caves, clearly, but it is just called Mary Queen of Scots. Well, that was
they live in caves. That's what they do. Oh dear.
Yeah.
So I well, there's loads of good questions coming up here now.
Yeah. But just to finish off that one, I think basically
horrendous, apparently. Can't touch it.
I think there's basically it's not just that it's drama, because you have to remember that even non-fiction is trying to fill in the gaps. There will be a lot of conjecture. But when you come to a drama, they're not like historical accuracy, if it's there as a goal of that production, if it's there, it's one of many goals. It has to make some money. It has to be entertaining. It has to, etc., etc. Drama just has its place to pique people's interest, and I think that is probably, for me, that's the end of it. So
Jessica's put a comment here. I think it's unrealistic to expect entertainment to be accurate. And my immediate thought was yes, but then non-fiction can be entertaining as well. Like history documentaries can be entertaining, but essentially, like Philippa just said, if it's fiction, they've got to jazz it up a bit. Or well, today I got up and went to the well, and
I think it's just when something is so. I think when something's so wrong, though, that's when it gets irritating. Because it's jarring. Then
Rain, I think, seems to be the one that people come back to quite a lot.
Okay. See, I also, full disclosure here, hardly ever watch any. It feels like homework to me now.
I think that's why we enjoyed The Last Kingdom, because we didn't really know anything about that.
Yeah, nothing to do with Uhtred.
No, completely. I've forgotten about him. I know you're on about.
It's not like you send me a photo of him every day. Thought this would cheer you up.
That's happened now and then.
Catherine.
I have a random photo of Uhtred I found on Instagram. Yes. I've gone all unnecessary now, but I think it's because we didn't really know much about that period when we started watching it. You can just watch it and enjoy it.
You can watch it and enjoy it.
Ruined. Just ruined.
Also, I'm a little bit. I think with the number of, this is my personal opinion, but I think with the number of dramas about the Tudors, it gets to the point where for me, it feels like they're making them because they think they're cash cows. They think they're just going to sell. They're going to be successful rather than for any other purpose. That's my opinion, but there you go.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. That I can't remember who I was having this conversation with the other day. It might have been someone at Bosworth. You just got to put. It's like if you're getting married or having a christening or something, and so you want a cake, you put the word wedding on it, and you can charge twice the price. You put the word Tudor on it, and everyone will buy it.
Yep, there you go.
It's like, and I do. Can we have a moment of brutal honesty here, people, just between us? Sometimes people only do Tudor things because they know it's going to make money. It's a gateway.
It's a gateway, yeah,
into everything else. because everyone loves the Tudors. I've made that sound like it's a big secret. It's not, but everyone loves the Tudors. And the thing is it's a great way to get people interested and into history. Because I came into history through the Tudors. I think you did, Philippa.
I did through Elizabeth. Yeah.
Oh
I did.
yeah, I'm being a little bit naughty there. But yeah, people, if you want to find a way into history, go Tudors, because it's the big one. And we're trying to sort of push stuff a lot of the time. We want to get like other like eras out there, but they're just enduring, the Tudors. I don't know. Well, I do know what it is, but like they've really, like, they're the thing, aren't they? And actually, if you think about it, they're all bloody horrible. I don't quite know.
Well, when you get into the detail, when you get into the detail, they all are actually. Even my hero Elizabeth is fairly. She's suspect.
But we always come back to them as well, don't we? We do if we go other things, but we always end up coming back to the Tudors as well. It's like we go off and we cheat on them with other dynasties.
I think we should, though, because
and then we come back because we love them.
Yeah. But it's it was a pivotal moment. But we're all getting more into the Stuarts now, I think.
Yeah, there's a bit of a drive towards the Stuarts recently, doesn't there? Which is good, because there's a lot more. When we first started looking at the Stuarts, there was kind of when we sat down, thought, okay, how are we going to fill this summit if we do a summit on the Stuarts? And we had so much more than we thought. Like, there really was a lot more than we thought.
Yeah, in fact, we've got another Stuarts Online History Festival sort of in the planning, from topics that we realised that would have been good if we'd have covered that. That would have been good if we'd have covered that. It was actually the rise of sort of the tabloid style newspaper, if I call it that, in the interregnum period, which I found out the other day. Right, let's get on to some other questions then. Pretty Pick, there's lots, so this is in no particular order, I'm afraid, and I'm sorry if we well, Pretty Pick has got, what is the most ridiculous historical theory you've ever heard being presented seriously? And there's a follow-on question to that. If we could get rid of one historical myth forever, what would it be and why? Or I have a bee in my bonnet about a particular thing. Trying to think of
up with it.
Well, I've mentioned this before as well. I don't like the kind of taking a little bit of evidence and then extrapolating it. So the big one for me, which is because it's an easy example for me to give to you, is the idea that girls' birthdays weren't recorded because they were insignificant. And it's just it really gets on my goat, because Henry VIII's birthday was only written down by one person, his grandmother, Margaret Beaufort, in her Book of Hours. There are plenty of people women who didn't have their birthdays written down. It also, how many court painters need to be female before the tagline isn't put after "was unusual at the time"? There weren't that many, and there was at least one lady. So, anyway, there you go. That's a myth. Those are a couple of myths that bug me, because the women who were doing, like, what the hell is her name? Tearlink. What's her first name?
Tearlink.
Tearlink. I can't think of her first name.
I can't think of her first name.
The court painter. She's there by merit. So let's not then tag a
Peter Tearlink. Anyway. It takes us back to sort of strange stories and things that have been perpetuated. Makes me think about Tearlink, because I know somebody who said they were an expert on the Tearlink miniatures, who was also supposed to be writing a book. I mean, I don't know how long this book is, but they've been at it a few years now. It's almost like they don't really have any evidence for what they're writing, but that's just me being cynical. Tearlink was obviously painting the miniatures in the Elizabethan court, and this is the premise, but apparently it's true. And who am I to say otherwise? Was in the presence of Elizabeth, became very close to Elizabeth, and was one of almost virtually nobody in the entire universe ever who knew that Elizabeth had a child.
Oh no, not that one. Well, there you go. There's a theory that is put forward with seriousness, isn't it? That Elizabeth must have either had a child or was a man.
Like, yeah. Okay. Oh, there's that dude with the Anne of Cleves twins.
What?
Right. How do I say this now without it sounding like I'm taking the piss?
Because
I worry about however I sound, because he is, this chap, I can't remember his name, is very serious about this. And I don't, if someone is very serious about something and it means a lot to them, then, you know. So this chap, I've got a feeling he's down south somewhere. Anyway, he says that, oh no, it's direct descendancy. He says that Henry VIII got Anne of Cleves pregnant with twins. But obviously he didn't want Anne anymore. And the annulment was based on, well, apparently a pre-contract, but also that the marriage wasn't consummated. And so she got friends. So she'd been shuffled off to one of the many places he had given her as part of a get out of my palace kind of arrangement. And a few people knew, obviously, her ladies and stuff, but she was so worried that he would be furious with her because it would muck up his marriage with Catherine Howard, that she was worried about letting him know. So he didn't know. And then it was daughters. So, yeah, if it had been sons. And so anyway, these two girls, I'm not quite sure if they got married, they didn't get married, how long they lived for. Anyway, obviously at least one of them had a child, because apparently he is directly, it's always directly, probably directly 13 times, presumably, because it's
13, of course 13 times, yeah.
Directly related to one of these twins.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Grace has got a good one. Oh, sorry, go on. Just
that I'm further up about speaking of myths and things that will never get solved. There's a load of new stuff coming out there, isn't there? Philippa Langley's got some new stuff coming out about discoveries on the continents to do with
on the
churches
continent
and stuff with Richard. And she's got Judge Rinder with her.
Right.
Interesting. Anyway,
so this is in addition to the churches in Cornwall that have been found.
On someone I know who is a next level Ricardian said to me a few years ago, well, I can't do it in her accent. So she didn't say it like this. She's like, oh, I can't really disclose because it's top secret. Yet you're going to tell me anyway. Yeah. Philippa's, you know, that she selected a small number of her faithful followers. I remember the words faithful followers because it
sounds like a cult. Yeah.
And she said to go with Philippa, and we're researching papers to do with the princes. No, not nice. Oh no. Whatever I say, I was going to say not nice, Philippa, the other one.
Well, you know what you mean.
You know what I mean. But yeah, so yeah, on the continent, and she's got Judge Rinder with her. So yeah, so this is the thing, and obviously, if any of you know Matt Lewis, you'll have heard Matt's books on Matt's book. It's up there somewhere on the Princes in the Tower. I can look for it if you want me to, but you can just Google it. You can. So Google
the premise is then that Richard must be innocent.
At least, clearly, yeah, because at least one of them legged it to the continent. At least one. Not even necessarily. Sometimes people think the younger one.
But he was still
would be the older one as well, and either or.
He was still completely justified in delegitimizing the entire brood of Edward IV and putting himself on the throne. Although I was thinking about this the other day, he had a lot of blood on his hands from what he'd had to do, and I do wonder whether metaphorically and literally, and he'd lost a lot. He lost his father, 3 brothers, well, 2 brothers, and then obviously when Edward IV dies, I do wonder, a little bit me wonders whether he just goes, I have not done all of that for this to go to a 12-year-old and a regency and all that
rubbish. Really a good idea as a general rule.
He's been through so much.
John's son, did it? But that's only because of William Marshall, really. It's only because of William Marshall held it together for a few years, and then
he had incredibly.
Yeah. So when I say it was John's son, I meant who was it? I've forgotten which one that was.
Henry III.
Yeah, that will do. Ricardians just make me. Oh dear, that's Liz, not me. I'm not saying a word.
What else have we got?
I don't know why the Tudor dynasty ever ended, since there were bastards running around everywhere. That's the why. Bastards.
Yeah, you're not allowed them. Well, they're not.
Unless depending on what Henry's kind of feeling near his deathbed.
Perhaps Fitzroy would have been
Yeah,
would have been made. Would have been put in the succession, but he dies in 1536, a couple of months after Anne Boleyn. So,
which gave Henry a nice excuse to go, oh, I think Anne poisoned him because she was such a witchy witch.
Yeah, well done, Anne, after you've died.
Yeah, well, some people, it's because she's a witch, Philippa. She's come back, poisoned Fitzroy, and died again.
I mean,
she had my time machine. That's what it was.
Yeah. Jessica says, I like Nathan Amin's. How do you say his last name? Amin. Armin. Oh, right. Okay, totally wrong. Take on Richard III. Good father. Didn't know his son was going to die. Yep. Shit uncle. Indeed.
I love Nathan.
He'd seen his family torn apart by rivalry, etc. Yes, he had. Nathan is joining the Rise of the Tudors tour next year that we're doing in September for a talk.
We did actually have Nathan on History After Dark, and it's only on Instagram now.
We should have him back.
So if you're on the YouTube, you have to go back onto Instagram. But he said he'd happily come back anytime because he's got nothing better to do on a Wednesday evening. So
I don't know quite how to take that, but okay. Jess asks, do we believe
it comes with Nathan? It's just he's fabulous.
I like a straight talker.
You'll love him when you meet him. He's wonderful.
So Jess says, do you believe there's any truth in the Perkin Warbeck being Richard? Well, I suppose it requires you to believe that they escaped.
If you're Nathan, no. If you're Matt Lewis, very possibly. If you're Philippa Langley, very possibly.
Yeah, it's almost a definite.
I have no idea. If I am being... These are not theories that I know inside out. I love Nathan. He's my favourite historian. So everyone's always going to say, well, you're just saying it because Nathan said it. To me, Nathan's writing on Warbeck makes the sense. What Matt is saying is not inconceivable at all. I just think it's far less likely. That's all, but I'm not, I don't have, I can't remember enough of either of what they've said to put together full cogent arguments like they have. But a lot of, if you look at a lot of the stuff in terms of Richard surviving and all that type of thing, and Warbeck being him, a lot of it is more, well, this could have been this, and it might have worked out like that. And it's not impossible to say. And, that looks like a coincidence, but it might not be. So, and this person was here, and that, and this is normally a reliable source. So it's not absolutely out of the question, but I feel from my not being an expert like Matt and Nathan, I feel that Nathan's argument for it not being him is more solid.
Well, I mean, there you go. Two experts, two people who spend a long time, well, a lot of their time looking at this, and they have completely opposite ideas on what happened. So just goes to show the drama. Like, well, they may as well take a stab at it. This links to a question that we got asked on Instagram earlier. I have made my thoughts clear on this, but I will do it again. The DNA testing of the bones that are meant to be the princes in the tower, yay or nay?
Oh, can I just say, just someone really quickly here, my favourite what ifs is, what if the Lancastrians won the Wars of the Roses? Well, they
did. Well, they did, but maybe
no
we
one
could go
was
into
really,
that a bit more.
so much happened. No one was really a winner.
No, the actual Lancashire line, of course, did die at Tewkesbury in 1471, but Henry
was not a Yorkist.
No, well, he wasn't. No, definitely wasn't a Yorkist, but he's a Lancastrian by being the son of, by being the son.
Margaret
it's not by
the great granddaughter of John of Gaunt.
Yeah, which is the Duke of Lancaster, which is where that comes from. But really, I think his allegiance to Henry VI comes from the fact that Henry VI is the half brother of his father, and so basically they're kin. So,
but the Yorkists kind of all killed each other.
Well, they self-destructed. Yeah, they weren't very good at and then
really not trying to be rude or tongue in cheek when I say that, but they kind of did.
They did. And Edward IV, what was he doing? He was just before his 40th birthday. He dies.
That was very slack of him.
Yeah.
And the other problem is as well, I know he wasn't expecting to die, but he left things in such a mess. There was no, because 39 wasn't old, but it wasn't young, was it? And in that period, and he really should have thought a lot more things through and had a lot more potentially, but there was too many loose ends with Edward all the time. Too many
having a bit of a rest.
Stuff.
Well,
so,
he did.
He died just to have a rest.
But he was also trying. Well, but he was also trying to be quite forgiving. Like he kept people around who other people would have probably dispatched or exiled. So
actually, so did Henry VII.
Well, maybe well, he tried to, didn't he? But you see, it doesn't really work in the end. He did. Who's the Yeah. So the DNA testing, Catherine, would you do it? Nope. Not me.
Nope. Do we need to? Is that enough, or do we need to say why?
We need to explain ourselves.
We need to explain. I think, and I know we agree on some of this stuff, don't we? It just don't go poking about. If we poke about, first of all, if we poke about here, then we've got an argument to poke about anywhere. So where does it stop? Who's okay to dig up and who isn't? If that was you or your mum or your hamster, where did that come from? Would you want your stick insect? Would you want them dug up and poked around? We don't have a right to this information. Secondly, it's not going to solve anything. What we've got doesn't give us evidence for blunt force trauma, or it's not going to solve anything. Even if it was them, we could say, oh well, it's them. It doesn't tell us anything. Well, it could possibly tell us they didn't go off to the continent.
I know. Actually, maybe
goes, hang on, I've tested these bones and it is them. So and announces it for shits and giggles the day before Philippa Langley's documentary.
I'm actually coming round to the idea. I'm coming around to the idea now. Let's get them tested.
But the other thing is it probably isn't them anyway. They were buried too far down, the layers and layers of corpses over the centuries, and there were animal bones around, that sort of time as well. So
they found in a stairwell. It was Charles II who ordered for them to be buried in Westminster Abbey. They're close to the tomb of to Elizabeth I's tomb. That's where they are, in one of the aisles of Henry VII's chapel. But I was dead against it, but now I'm thinking.
Now, actually, my morals have gone out of the window. Desperation to know and comedy. Just dear Your Majesty the King, because he at one point, Elizabeth II had sort of said no, don't touch it. Whenever it all came to the forefront again, obviously when Richard was found. But she was like, no, I don't think it's respectful. It doesn't need doing, but future generations might do it. And then apparently Charles went, well, I'm got a bit up for that. Well, we don't know what's going to happen
until it was pointed out to him that it's very unlikely they would be able to get any conclusion on the DNA evidence, and that what people are after anyway is more than that, and it's not going to prove.
Let's pretend it is them, just for a laugh.
Still don't know what happened to them. We still don't know that they didn't die of.
If it was them and they're there, can you imagine the furore? But yeah, because there was this, when there was first talk of people wanting to do it. So now we've got Richard's mitochondrial DNA, and we're able to like trace him back to Michael Ibsen and the other lady as well. And we have this, and it's confirmed. We can now test these bones, and people were first sort of banding the idea about. And the news article that went around, wasn't it? Was this could prove that Richard III didn't murdered the princes in the Tower. I mean, if you could explain to me how that's possible, then I'd love to hear it.
Wishful thinking.
I'd be happy to be wrong if there was some amazing way of discovering this story, but
yeah. No.
Anyway,
so, yes.
Sorry.
Yes, so we're nay unless you can prove that, unless it proves that they didn't go to the continent.
Unless it could be hilarious. That's the wrong attitude, Philippa. I'm ashamed of you.
Sorry, it's a Wednesday. I'm letting loose.
And of myself, but I'm not. I should be, but I'm not.
Jen said the bee in my bonnet is there's an assumption that all men treated women like inferiors. There's plenty of evidence throughout history that it's not the case. Yes, I agree. There are plenty, especially during the humanist, with humanism starting, that people like Sir Thomas More, he wanted his daughters educated. In fact, the Tudors educate their daughters to a far higher degree than the Stuarts. So that's the other bugbear I have, is that this idea of linear progression, and therefore if something is not great now, then it could only have been even worse in the past. It's just it's not true, and then it leads to assumptions that equally obviously can't be true. So yeah, what else have we got? I'm not reading out what Steve said. Pretty Pick, as a scoliosis sufferer myself, I've always felt a kinship with Richard. Fucked up spine havers unite. Well, Pretty Pick, I also have scoliosis, so there you go. And I couldn't ride a horse without my back really hurting, so good on Richard for that.
But he had that. Did anyone, I've talked about this before, the documentary with Dominic Smee in?
Oh, he had a special saddle or something.
Yeah, so it used to be on YouTube, and it's not now. I think you can get snippets, but basically, and he doesn't live he lives not that far from Leicestershire, or in Leicestershire, I think. He has the shape of his spine is pretty much the same as Richard's was, and so they got him to. He agreed to for them to work with him to see how things would have been made for Richard, how he moved, and all these types of things. And he actually found that when he had a medieval saddle, and of course, being where he was in society, his armor was made to measure. So once he had those things in, the armor had to be made. Does it normally sit on the shoulders? But he had to have it sit on his hips, or the other way around, the way a lot of the weight was distributed. So it was adjusted, and then the saddles were obviously much higher. And he said he just felt supported and strong.
I mean, all scoliosis are quite, the scoliosis can be quite different though, depending on where you've got the kink, and where and then what twisting and all sorts of things that can cause. So yeah. I can't imagine anything on my hips, because your hips can end up quite unbalanced. But equally, his could have caused him a shoulder imbalance. So, yeah, you just don't know.
But it was a thing. Richard III said he had a hunchback, and actually, depending on how bad his scoliosis was, I teach Pilates. I've seen a lot of people with all sorts of degrees of scoliosis over the years, and sometimes it can look a little bit rounded through on one shoulder and make the shoulders uneven.
Oh yeah, don't look at me too close. I'm all over the shop.
Langley did actually. If you know the story of when they discovered Richard, he was actually in the first trench that they uncovered, and they didn't realise, so they carried on digging and then went back and realised it was him they'd found on the first day. But when you look at the bodies, if you go to you can find images online. If you ever go to the visitor centre, they've got a model of his spine, and they've got it all laid out, like where you can see it in the ground and stuff. And it's very much a question of I'm trying to think how to word this now.
Oh.
Yeah, I think, no, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't want to talk about people's backs too much because I don't want anybody to think that I'm talking about people's backs too much.
Well, it's just very.
To think that I'm sort of like.
It's just that it's
on
talked
appearance about or anything like that, because that's not.
But that's the thing. It's talked about by people who go, "Oh, we had a scoliosis, therefore X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
And it's just an example of something that when you do know a little bit about it, you go, hang on, that it's not, it just isn't as clear cut as that. But we all have, experiences and knowledge that means that we can pick out different things and say things.
I think so. I'm not appearing to be indelicate. It was something that Philippa said herself when they went back, because of the shape of, his spine was very misshapen and he must have been in a lot of pain. I would have imagined it would be quite challenging. It did look like he had a bit of a hunchback. This is in her book, so I'm not like paraphrasing my own interpretation. But she said she actually went, "Oh no," because remember she thought, "Oh my God, he really did have a hunchback."
But was the grave long enough? Was there any? No. Is there any of that? Like,
I think it was a little bit short, but his feet were missing as well. So, but yeah, I think his head might have been slightly tipped. But yeah, his feet were missing. That was the Victorians.
Thank you, Victoria. Again. Some things they put back, some things they took away.
And Richard III's feet was one of them.
Did you know they medievalized? I don't know if that's a word. Tower of London. Oh. They pulled down bits of. I think it was the Victorians that pulled down bits of Kenilworth Castle to make it more.
That's romantic. So Victorian. I mean,
make it look more something. Yeah,
it's like.
Oh, we have another controversial one.
Oh, go on.
Mouse Wonders asks, was Elizabeth I really a virgin? There are.
But the rumours started as early as Thomas Seymour.
Virgin and this virgin. Yeah, I mean, not getting pregnant, or well, according to that other Fruit Loop that she did, but there are plenty of not. Oh, hello, where have you gone? Not every. At least it came back. Not every encounter ends in a pregnancy. Like, it's not evidence of itself in and of itself of no.
Yeah.
And also there are things that can happen that mean this is another thing. We assume, we've got so much knowledge now of how babies are made and all this, as if that's another one of those linear progression type things, as if no, if we know this, then everyone in the past knew progressively less. I don't. I'm not saying particularly in the Tudor period, but I can't fathom that when people are living far more sort of, they're living in their families more, they're living in in the land, they're with the seasons, they're with the daylight hours, everything is more natural, that they just don't have any idea how babies happen. It doesn't and therefore no knowledge of how to try and not have babies happen if you don't want them. It doesn't ring true to me.
It's just that assumption that people, it was a long time ago and there were things that we now look back on and go, oh no, but so that everything they were ignorant about everything, and obviously that's not the case.
Here's one for another day. What are we doing now that in 100, 200 years time people are going to look back and go, in the 2020s they thought of this?
Well, in the 2020s we thought lockdown was a good idea. We didn't, but some people did. Some people liked COVID. Some people liked COVID. So we loved COVID. Some people would think lots of things were good ideas. Anyway, but I would imagine 100, 200 years from now, Elon Musk will have been made immortal if he's not already. We'll all have little chips implanted in our brains, and we'll just be living basically an entertainment society where everything we do is controlled, and we will have no autonomy. We won't be able to move any further than your lounge.
Well, they're going to look back and say, oh, those stupid people in 2023, they didn't even know that X was bad for them. You know, like people, it took a long while for people to work out the link between dirty water and disease. And then
little things like they've now said that eating butter is better than eating margarine because butter is not much about
processed
like margarine is.
Margarine is
you can't eat butter, chemical. You'll die. Oh no, you should eat butter or you'll die.
Yeah.
It's like, don't eat eggs, they've got loads of cholesterol. Oh no, eggs are quite good for you. Like
my rule, if it's not processed, the less processed, the better, I think.
I mean, eggs, obviously, it depends how you cook them. A fried egg, for example, is possibly less healthy.
Well, no, if you're having butter. If you're having butter.
But
coconut oil, it's fine. It's fine. Well, we've got a few scoliosis sufferers in the chat.
I think it's more common than people think, isn't it? It's just the severity of it. Is for a lot of people, fortunately, don't have it at a level of severity that makes day-to-day life extremely stressful. It doesn't mean it doesn't affect them day to day, but luckily there's not, hopefully.
So
backs are a nightmare. Once they go, they go. And trying to get it all sorted is
That's how I got into CrossFit. Having a really bad back is actually how I got into CrossFit, to try and manage it, and it's worked so far. Touch wood. Right, what else have we got? Kenny Rencats asked who our favourite historical Fruit Loops are. Sorry, favourite historical fucking Fruit Loops. Oh,
that was you.
That was actually me. Besides John the fucking Fruit Loop, King John. Who else? Who else was a Fruit Loop?
I suppose it depends slightly on your definition of.
No, this is a fucking Fruit Loops. This is like
make someone a nutter.
This is like
in the most delicate of senses, of course.
I mean, John was.
John.
Yeah.
Really.
You've got anyone?
I mean, there's people who are actually like notably mentally ill, and I'm guessing we're not kind of going like with George III, who was obviously extremely.
No. I don't mean
people like that. We mean people that are just a bit like. God. Are you sure?
I'm not sure. No, that is not what I'm saying. Oh my goodness.
No. So just sort of general idiocy, really.
Yeah, like
them. Why can't we think of any?
Like people with no. I mean, Henry VIII really was a bit of one.
Just who's got absolutely no common sense whatsoever?
It's that lack of humility, or lack of sense of self, like in the world, like how you're coming across to other people. There's a few of the early Norman kings. I'm trying to think. Who is it? Who is it who ate his bed when he got so angry?
That was Henry II. I think.
Is he the Becket fame? Is it Henry II?
Yeah, I'm sure it's him.
Yeah, he would get so angry he would eat his. Well, so legend has it, he would eat his bed.
What's her face cut all her hair off, didn't she?
Yeah, first Duchess
Sarah Churchill.
Sarah Duchess of Marlborough.
She had a narcissistic hissy fit and hacked all her hair off, and her poor husband had to pick it all up.
That woman knew how to win an argument.
I mean, it's quite an extreme way to do it, but as last words go, she made it.
That was the most important thing. Scarlett says, does Dr. Cat's favourite Richard Rich being a definite psychopath count as a Fruit Loop? Oh, see, I think he was more calculated. See,
yes,
like King John to me,
it's a different type of recklessness, isn't there, from John compared to Richard Rich?
John seems to have no thought for the implications for himself as to what was going to happen. That just killing like the people who really support you needed probably wouldn't end well. Or trying to shag your mate's wife and daughters also probably won't end well. So
Laura says, what about Catherine of Aragon's sister's husband? So Joanna, is it Joanna? Juana. That's it. Her husband. Was it somebody the fair? But it was a bit of a stretch.
Didn't Philip the Handsome? Didn't she? Well, who wasn't it? Her who carried his body around with them?
Yes, apparently sort of toured up and down the country. Oh, and Thomas More's daughter used to apparently carry his head around.
Yeah.
Who was somebody else who carried a head around? Wasn't there somebody?
There was someone else. We only spoke about them the other week. Yeah. I can't remember.
It was now. Charles II dug up all the people that had signed the death warrant for his father. And
famously, Oliver Cromwell, dug up from Westminster Abbey. I mean, the cheeky git did have himself interred in the Henry VII chapel.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a strange type of Fruit Loopery, to think to be that much of a hypocrite and really think that no one else has noticed.
Yeah, I mean, he's buried in a royal mausoleum. And so Charles II has him dug up, hung at Tyburn, beheaded. He's already been dead a while. I don't think he noticed. And then his head stuck on a pike over Westminster Hall. Oh, Elizabeth Throckmorton. Thank you, Beverly. Yeah. Until it blew off in a gale. Very. No matter how high you achieve in life, someone can still take you down. So there you go. Right. Simon de Montfort.
There was also some really good ones there as we went through. Loads and loads. You guys have good questions.
You do.
I'm scrolling back far.
Oh, Sir Walter Raleigh's wife. That's right. Yes. Sorry. So Beverly said Elizabeth Throckmorton. Yeah. Sir Walter Raleigh's wife. That's right. Carried his head around. He wasn't beheaded until the reign of James I, James VI in Scotland. Was he? Sorry, you have
to throw that in. Just in
both ways.
Just go back. There's so many, but I know that quite a lot of them are quite far back up now. So there needs to be more dramas about the Wars of the Roses. Yeah, maybe.
We've got so Jen says, I'd love a kind of opposite series on the quirky, weird, and generally lovable people, the proper gents, women who kicked ass, the ones who we'd love to meet down the pub. Well, so Deceased Gits is our series for 2023. Have we already said what we're doing in 2024?
I think we have mentioned it in passing. Yeah.
Well, we're doing History Heroes for 2024.
But again, it could be that we've had a couple of people we thought were really gittish and then they weren't. So it could be somebody who sounds great on paper, and then you actually look at it and go, "Oh, they were a prick."
Yep. Exactly. This is what we think we're going to find. Yeah. So, right. Well, we're nearly at an hour, so we could wrap it up here, unless people have got any other burning questions they want to ask us.
There were some really good ones though, actually. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
And obviously there's some that come up as well that would sometimes you ask stuff and we don't always know enough about it to give you a really good answer is the other thing as well. We had some good ones that people submitted before we came in, but we couldn't have done them justice because we hadn't had time to research them basically.
No, we don't like to pretend we know something. If we don't know it, we won't.
Yeah.
So Jess asks, is there any people you'd never want to be stuck in a life with? Well, King John for one. Any of the monarchs, actually. I'm trying to think of any. Yeah.
Is that meant to be lived?
Oh, maybe in a lift with, maybe. Well, let's do lift then. Any of the monarchs. I don't.
My ex-husband.
Yeah.
Does that count?
But he's not. We have 100-year rule.
I was going to say I have 100 of them. I'm not that bad. 100. Yeah, not dead enough. Not dead, fortunately, either. Well, no, it could be less than 100 years if it was. Oh no, hang on, can't. Not who would we? Oh God, most of them.
Henry says, Henry
to pick somebody you would want to be stuck in a lift with, to be quite honest. How long would you be in there for as well?
Well, and do you need a wee? That's the other thing.
I would automatically need a wee, and I'm claustrophobic. If the light's gone out as well, then I'd need somebody with medical training or chloroform.
I think hopefully I'll have a sausage roll in my bag and a warm tea to keep you going.
So Philippa will be all right. I will die of hunger and dehydration.
I'm going to make you eat it. And Alga asks, why do I think Henry II had Thomas Becket killed?
Ooh, did he?
Well, this is the will anyone rid me of this? Will no one rid me of this troublesome priest? At which point they spontaneously and I don't know, spontaneously came back all the way from France to Canterbury. Because when I first heard the story about that, you get the impression, or I got the impression, that they were so riled up that they went and killed Becket there and then. No, they had to do a channel crossing, which was no small feat, and get to Canterbury.
For you.
Yeah. So the idea that there's this, so that kind of throws up the question of, was it really a misunderstanding? Because it feels like that requires preparation. They didn't run out of the Palace of Westminster and run to Westminster Abbey, for instance, right next door. They're in France and they come back to Canterbury. So yeah, a bit weird. But basically Henry II and Thomas Becket were friends before Thomas Becket became the Archbishop of Canterbury. And Henry thought that Thomas Becket would be malleable. And he wasn't malleable to the king, that is. He had his position and he decided to do it as he saw fit. That didn't fit in with Henry. So if there's a motive, that's it. Well, in my understanding anyway. But interestingly, it's Becket's story that is scrubbed from prayer books during Henry VIII's time. When Henry VIII becomes head of the Church of England, everyone is ordered to erase Becket, anything referring to Becket, because he doesn't toe the line of the monarchy. So Henry doesn't want that story known about or repeated, which I thought was quite interesting. He's fine with it up until
he wasn't.
Until he wasn't. Yeah.
Until it was too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was too late.
So, right then, shall we wrap up? There is some other good questions coming in.
There's loads of good ones, but we'll be here for a long time.
So next week is Roundup week.
Yes.
Yes. Is that right? And then I will be off for a week.
The last 4 were, because it's been spread over so long. I don't even remember at this point. Okay. Edward VI, Thomas Seymour,
Richard Rich. No, hang on. Where did we go? T. Right alphabet.
Okay.
But anyway, we'll review.
E F G H I J K L M N O P Q, Queen somebody. R, Richard Rich. Thomas Seymour, Edward VI. It was Queen somebody, wasn't it?
No,
Elizabeth Woodville. Queen Elizabeth Woodville. Elizabeth Woodville, Richard Rich, Thomas Seymour, Edward VI. T for Timmy. So there we go.
Oh yes, T for Timmy. That was it.
So some of those were quite a while back now, so maybe go back and watch those again if you get the chance.
Yep, because we'll be asking you to score their culpability when we're together next week. Then there'll be a random week. Presumably you and Kat maybe will do something while I'm away.
Do something bizarre.
And then we'll be back.
And then then it's pretty much back into. I think we're all pretty much back then, aren't we? Sort of. The summary
yes, I think so.
We'll finish our gits. Yes.
In time for Christmas.
20 gits down, 6 to go. Who will be the ultimate git? There's a tie at the moment, isn't there?
There is. Henry and
John.
There's some absolute corkers. So right, so yes, so join us again next week, same time. All three of us will be back together for the roundup. We need you to come and score. And sorry, Jess just said a random one. I really enjoyed listening to your ghost tales on the History After Dark podcast. Oh my goodness, that was a while ago. Yeah. Would you do a specific ghost one for Halloween?
Kat was absolutely shitting herself. She still says to me, there's no such thing as ghosts. I don't believe in them. And I said to her, we had this conversation the other day. And I was like, but you said that you had those. She said, I don't believe it. She said, I only believe it whilst it's happening to me. And then I don't believe it again because it makes no sense. I was like,
oh, yeah. She said Tower of London ghosts, Hampton Court ghosts, ghosts in the house.
But no. I keep telling her this stuff in her house. She hates it.
So yes, Jess, perhaps we will do a Halloween one. That's quite a nice idea. But yes, you can catch us. You can. I haven't put any of the things up today. I've been very slack. You can support us if you like, and thank you. Someone bought us three Winnebagos this week, but you can do that at buymeacoffee.com/hadpodcast. That is going to the fund for the Mini-Bago first, then maybe a Winnebago. So that we can torture Catherine. We definitely will. If you have, are we going to do past pub and post bag next week? Do we do it on random week?
Yeah, we could do. Yeah, if anyone's got any, that would be good. So your historical concerns. Have your sheep escaped? Is your husband trying to sell you for 40 camels? Are you a little bit concerned that someone's going to kill you in your sleep? It'll probably be Cat. Anyway, send us your past problems for Past Problems Post Bag. It's going across the bottom of the screen there to historyafterdark2021@gmail.com. And your past problem may be featured, and then you can take the sound advice of the widows of Lancaster. And all will be well. All will be well. Yes.
Absolutely. Cool. So, yeah, and you can also sign up to our Substack, because one day we'll put something on it. Ignore the bit about Henry VI because I haven't updated it. So it's historyafterdarkhub@substack.com. And yeah, that's it really, I think. Is it? We'll see you all.
It's like when there's only two of us, the structure just collapses. It's like, so if it's just like when I've done something with Kat, of course she does the like the disclaimer at the beginning. I'm like, yeah, you just do that bit, and then we're just going along, and then like, okay, it's the end, and then we go, what's happening next week? Philippa's not here. Nobody knows what's happening next week. What was Substack? What is it? What does it do?
I didn't mean to still have that on as well. Oh, do you know what? I think it's getting late. It's getting late. You're showing off. We're getting tired. So
if it's me and Kat, it starts off well because it's her doing this, going to get to the end, and I don't want to go, Philippa, what's happening next week? And then you know all the things and the Substacks, and then I'm like, anyway,
You can get to everything, by the way, you can get to everything. There's links on our YouTube, there's links on our Instagram. So all these things that we've said, you can actually get to all of them. You can get your Timmy is a Problem merch as well. And No Feet for Free on the internet. Sliders are also available from our shop.
And t-shirts and hoodies and various other things. Well, we need to talk about that, don't we? We need to maybe get some hoodies, but we need to talk about I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah. Oh, fine. Right. Well, everyone, we've got to go because Catherine's got something to tell me. Right then, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you same time next week.
Right. I need to try and sort this out. Are we counting it out?
Yes.
You count it.
3, 2, 1. Bye.
Bye.